Man, I can't even be asked. I can't even be asked to come in with the intro, with the traditional intro. You know what the traditional intro is. You know what I'm saying? But it's a man's prerogative to change his mind. You know what I'm saying? If at any time I feel like I want to change my mind, I'll change my mind. It ain't nothing. It's a man's prerogative. So hold on. You know what? You know what? Guess what? I've changed my mind. I'm going to come in with half of the traditional intro. Half. So hold tight and she not let go. So hold tight and watch the ride. Watch me just switch up. Oh Lord, I don't want to switch up that much. Watch me just switch it up, switch up the game. Watch me just switch up the game. Hold on. Hold tight and she not let go. Hold on. Is this it? Yeah, I think so. Let me see how it looks. Okay. Rafi, just switch it up on him. Switch it up on him. All right. Let's go. Boom. Boom. Mr. Versatility. Mr. Versatility. I can do it this way. I can do it that way. I can switch mid-flow. That's versatility for you. Know what I mean? It's an action-packed show. Memento. Let me drop the link. The link immediately. We ain't ramping with this thing. We don't ramp. We don't skin up with it. This is the original wrap-up show, but we don't wrap up. We don't wrap up. It's the wrap-up show, but we don't wrap up. We don't wrap up or we don't skin up. Yeah, you heard? All right, let's get rid of that. What we get rid of? We get closing down some windows. But not before, not until, hold on, what the hell's going on with this damn picture? That's not the damn thumbnail. Hold on. First things first, let's fix the thumbnail. What the hell happened there? That ain't the right thumbnail. Hold on. Uno momento, mommy, slow your tempo. Let's fix that now. Can't tolerate. Hold on. We're according to this, the thumb. What the hell's going on? All right, well, let's do it anyway. Change the thumbnail. I hear the pop, 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 so I know people are waiting. Uno momento. What's this here? Let's get this right. Is this it? Yeah. Open. Sesame. Save. Okay, so that should be the proper dapper thing. Proper dapper thing. Hold on. Live. Well, it's saying no thumbnail now. No thumbnail at all. What the hell is going on? Change is saved. Okay, that looks good. Yeah, monetization on. Actualization on. We are live. Okay. So, let's do the sound check. Boom, boom. I'm going to come to you guys in a second, but first things first, let me just do the sound check and let's make sure everything is copacetic. As a matter of fact, rat-tat-tat-tat. Let's reload that. Okay, let's do the sound check. Let's kill the music just for a second. See what the sound sounds like. Let's kill the music just for a second. No, go back. We just do the session on. We are live. Okay. Music's very faint. Let's do the sound check. Music's very faint, but it's okay. I think, is that acceptable? I think that is. Music's very faint, but I think that's acceptable. I think it's acceptable. Yeah, I could just. Let me just go into the master volume. That's the volumes there. I'll accept it. 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 Okay. Okay. So, where are we? Where are we? How are we going to start this thing? How are we going to start this thing? Okay. Before I introduce my guests, let me go ahead and pin that there. Okay. So, before I introduce my guests, let me play you something. Let me play you something. So I'm going to have to share this. Dang. Let's have a look how we're going to do this thing. Okay, let me share my screen. Boom. That ain't it. That ain't it. Let's get this thing right. Let's get this thing right, Rafi. Get it right, Rafi. Okay. Is that it? No. Yes. I think that's it. Okay. Okay. Oh, shizzle. Shizzle, my nizzle. Is this the one? Or is that the one? This the one? That the one? We're sharing this one, are we? In which case, how's the screen look now? Okay. So we're going to have to do the shuffle, do the Hollywood shuffle. Do the Hollywood shuffle. I'm sure you guys remember that film, The Hollywood Shuffle, Richard Townsend or something. And I'll get into the chat shortly. But first things first, let's get this thing started the way I had envisaged. Okay, so hello and welcome. You are all in tune to, is it Boxing Talk with Rafi? It's not even Boxing Talk with Rafi. What did I call this one? It's Boxing Talk with Rafi, where it's Anthony Josh. Oh, what's the name of the actual show? What's the name of the actual show? Where is it? Dang. Okay, Anthony Joshua and the Cossack wearing turncoat Brits and the weekend wrap up. We got a lot to dissect, a lot to get into. I know people got a lot to say. And, it's over here at the Raphael Dawkins. So, opinions, welcome. Okay, but let's get into this without further delay. All right, let's get into it. Okay. Oh my God. I shouldn't be playing that. I've got an alternative. Oh, so I'm sharing that. If I'm sharing that, then I shouldn't be playing that. I should be sharing the dummy. I should be sharing the dummy. No, I should be playing this. Yeah, that's good.
Radio Raheem, Eddie. Radio Raheem, Eddie. This is a journey that you've been on as well, the whole way. Obviously, 2 losses in a row. Your flagship fighter. What is next?
Okay, I'm gonna have to be careful. The Rafi's gonna have to be careful. I put a video up yesterday, and the zone got it took down. I said I use some of their shizniks, but the Rafi likes to bring you live and fresh content, fresh out the oven. And all it was I had a little bit of their shizzle going on in the background. Little bits. It was transformative. According to the strict definition of copyright, what I did was transformative. It wasn't a rip. It wasn't a copy. It was transformative. And therefore, it shouldn't have been took down. I may contest it. But rather than contest it, I just put another video up. I didn't have the time to be jerking around. So I just put another video up with a picture. No moving video, just a picture. So even though I feel that that was he was unjust, I couldn't be asked to argue with him. I may argue at a later point. So what I'm saying is I'm going to be careful. I'm opting to be careful, but yet still bringing you the hot shit fresh from the oven. Okay.
Next for you in your mind as a promoter, and what do you say to Anthony Joshua immediately after the fight?
Well, as I said in the ring after, the key to life is happiness.
Okay, so this is the press conference, post-fight press conference, where Anthony Joshua broke down. He broke down in tears. Broke down in tears, they say. Tears falling down like the rain. Broke down in tears, and Anthony and Eddie Hearn spoke his mind. Okay, so here we go. I hope you can hear it properly. If people can't hear it properly, I hope you will have the intelligence and common sense to say so in the chat so that I can see. I think we're mature enough to know the sketch, how that goes. If you can't hear, you write it down so I know that you can't hear. Okay, or if the sound quality is wonky, let me know. I can adjust.
You know, and at the end of the day, I just want him to be happy. He's given his whole life since he started to the sport of boxing, and people don't realise that what a bubble it is in the life and world of Anthony Joshua. You know, when everybody in the country knows who he is, everybody's got an opinion of who he is. He's in the gym all the time.
He's in the gym all the time. Everybody's got an opinion who he is. Everybody knows who he is. He's in the gym all the time.
With his team, he's living up in Loughborough. He's away from home. You know, there isn't anyone I know that's more dedicated to the sport than him. And sometimes people don't understand the pressures that are on people's shoulders. But he's
the pressures. Keep it all in. Crying at a post-fight press conference because of the pressure.
He's never ducked a challenge. He's never shirked the pressure. He's always tried to give his time for people, and he's always tried to inspire the next generation.
Pressure.
He's been an amazing ambassador. For the first time in boxing, you see all these many of them tonight on social media, they've got too much to say for themselves, that want to pretend they're good people.
A lot of people talking pure crapola.
They aren't role models, that aren't ambassadors, that aren't people that I would want my kids to look up to. This is someone that I want my kids to look up to.
Gareth A. Davis comes to mind.
For the first time, and that responsibility is a huge burden. And
it's a burden. It's pressure.
Always felt that responsibility. If he's out in public, he gives everybody his time. Right? He's one of the nicest guys you can ever meet. And he's a competitor. He's a winner. And
can nice guys win? With all the pressure.
When you don't win, and you see what you saw tonight was a raw emotion, a real person that was feeling the pressure, that wanted to win so badly. And people need to realise that
pressure.
You live in an online world where it's just opinions, stick, abuse, and he'll never tell you that the pressure, he sees that or he feels it, but it's impossible not to.
So even the so-called superstars, they're not immune to the pressure.
What I want to see is I want to see him happy, and I think what we want to see is we want to see him be active. Too many gaps between fights.
More activity. We talked about it before. Should be fighting every 6 months. Should be fighting twice a year. There has been a pandemic, and that's put the kibosh on certain things, but really should be fighting twice a year.
Too many stadium fights. You know, from the Dillian White fight at the O2 to Charles Martin at the O2 to Dominic Brazil at the O2 to Eric Molina at Manchester Arena to Vladimir Klitschko at Wembley Stadium.
That's a full itinerary. A lot of people have been dozing. Some cats out there are number one in the WBC rankings, and they ain't won a fight in damn near 3 years.
Stadium, to Carlos Takam at the Millennium Stadium, to Joseph Parker at the Millennium Stadium, to Alexander Povetkin at Wembley Stadium, to Andy Ruiz at Madison Square Garden, to Andy Ruiz in Riyadh.
Pressure.
To Kubrat Pulev at the O2, to Oleksandrusyk at Tottenham Hotspur, to Oleksandrusyk. That is the run that Anthony Joshua has been on.
Those are that's a lot. That's a lot of top 10. That's a lot of top 10 consensus. Top 10 guys. Talk to me, Eddie.
No Tom Schwartz. No Sefer Separate. No, I do. No, but I do.
No Tom Schwartz. Who could he possibly be talking about there? No Tom Schwartz. No Tom Schwartz. No Sefer Safiri. Who could he possibly be talking about there? Who could he possibly be talking about there? Come on. Preach to the people, Eddie. Preach to the people.
Look, because you don't get the credit. No, but I'm going to give you the credit because at the end of the day, you've had to step up to carry the sport in our country.
Anthonyjoshua stepped up, according to Eddie Hearn, and carried the sport in our country. Pressure. When others were lacking off, others were eating wild boars, testicles, entrails, and all manner of other unspeakable things while they were off on their holidays, on their Butlins holidays. There was one man who was dealing with it. How many times did Frotchy fill Wembley? You say first. How many times did Frotch fill Wembley? How much was it? Was it 80,000, was it? Pressure makes diamonds, and also pressure busts pipe. But let's listen. Let's listen to what Eddie Hearn is telling. Listen, preach to the people, Eddie. Preach to the people.
That's true. No, we've joked before. You said, God, I've had all these tough fights. You saw people have these easy fights. You never had them. You never wanted them.
Yeah, people was out there having easy fights. People fighting Tom Schwartz, the Tom Schwartz of this world. Last I heard, he was in jail for beating up his missus. Talking about the Tom Schwartz.
Because you want to create a resume. Yeah, because you're a fighter. You're a winner. You wanted to fight the elite. You fought the pound for pound, back to back, right?
Top 10 guys back to back, while some cats out there fought like what? A couple top 10s in the last 5 years? Maybe 2 top 10s in the last 5 years, 3 tops. And then you got a next man who's doing it time and time again. And there's some people want to turn coat on him. Talk to the people, Eddie.
Right? At Tottenham, you lost. Tonight, you lost a split decision to the best fighter in the sport.
Oleksandrusyk has to be ranked as a top 10 pound for pound fighter. Pick the bones out of that.
Everybody else would have vacated the WBO belt before the...
That's a good point. There's certain cats out there who we strongly suspect would have vacated the WBO belt. Said, yeah, we're not going to fight you. Make up some bogus story. And you know what? That might not have been a terrible idea. Some cats would have done that.
For a Tottenham fight. So I will say, because people take easy touches, fans moan about fighters ducking fights, taking easy touches.
Fighters ducking fights, taking easy touches, fighters coming up with excuses why they won't fight a cat. They wouldn't tell us how much he's making, so we had to walk away from the table.
He's never taken an easy touch, and we should be very, very proud of him.
Never taken an easy touch. We should be very proud of him. Okay. I think I've gone deep into that. What's the time saying? Okay. So I think I've set the table. The cards have been dealt. The table has been set. We got the Leon figures up in the building. We got the fight doctor up in the building. But I'm going to start with the always controversial, the inimitable. I'm going to let him introduce himself. He knows who he is. He comes from Chi-Town, comes from Chirac.
Fight Doctor's in the house on Rick James status, as always. Good afternoon, evening, sir.
Good evening to you, Fight Doctor. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to let the Leon figures introduce himself also at this point, and then we're going to get into the thing.
Peace, Mr. Dawkins. Peace, the Forest Doctor, and congratulations. You seem very proud of yourself today.
Shout out to Mr. Figures.
Okay. Good to have both of you up in here. We're going to start with you, the Fight Doctor, because we know that you're going to have some controversial views on this thing. First of all, if you want to address what Eddie Hearn was, well, start where you want to start. Go where you want to go. Start where you want to start.
Well, so Eddie Hearn doing what a promoter is supposed to do, making excuses and ignoring the truth, the fact. Listen, there's actually no shame in his loss, Joshua, to Usyk. There's no shame in that loss. He lost to the better fighter. He gave a very good account of himself, I think. He certainly improved upon his first performance.
Certainly.
And he just lost to the better fighter. It happens. But the simple fact of the matter is this, is that, in my observation, Usyk was able to take advantage of technical flaws that still exist within Joshua's game. To say it bluntly, Usyk is a superior fighter, period, end of. And that's all there is to it. Skills pay the bills. And really, it's, at the end of the day, it's not so much about weight as it is about, how you work with what you have and your mastery of the fundamentals and the basics of boxing, which, Usyk has over Joshua.
Who does Usyk not have? Who does Usyk? Do you recognize Usyk as a pound for pound top 10 guy?
Yeah, easily, no question.
Easily.
Yeah.
Let me bring in Leon Figures here. I think we're gonna go around. We're gonna bat it around. Background noise. So who do you recognize Usyk as a pound for pound top 10 guy? Leon Figures.
Possibly number one, pound for pound.
Okay, and that speaks to my point. So we all recognize Usyk as a pound for pound top 10 guy, possibly number one. So, okay, let me go around the table again. Leon Figures. Which heavyweight do you think is technically better than Alexander-Usyk?
None. Fury comes close, but none.
Fight Doctor, which heavyweight do you think is technically better than Alexander-Usyk? That's to the Fight Doctor. He's cooking his mushrooms.
Yeah, my apologies, I was muted. So I think Fury.
Certainly not Fury.
Fury
is technically not very good.
Fury. Usyk
sorry.
and Fury are close. I don't know who's better, but Fury is close.
Sorry, I asked you when I shouldn't have asked you. I should have said what I wanted to say, which is this: Fury is technically not very good. Fury has good punch variety. Fury has good punch selection. But if we speak about technicality, if we're looking at the word technicality, then Fury technically he ain't all that good. He don't throw throw technical punches.
Okay, so now you do realize, of course,
biomechanically, when we look at the way he throws a punch, it is not technically very good. What he is good at is his punch variety, is his tempo, off tempo, his movement. So
now you do realize, of course, that Usyk is by far not the perfect fighter. He does have his flaws.
I do accept that, but
can't fight going backwards.
I accept that.
He's not the most defensively sound guy.
No, he isn't. But I say
Okay.
technically he's better than Fury. But please
Well,
continue.
I don't know that. I think that that's an open question.
Okay.
And if he is superior to Fury, it's not by much.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, I think there's at least one other guy in the heavyweight division who is as good or maybe even better than Usyk. And that'll be Frank Sanchez. In my estimation.
We talk. Okay.
Okay. Now listen, Usyk is good.
Yeah.
But you know, he hasn't done anything remarkable at heavyweight, not yet. And what I mean by that is he beat a guy who's already been beaten at heavyweight. He beat a guy in Anthony Joshua who has glaring technical flaws and has been getting by on his athleticism for the whole of his career. Look,
are there any other heavyweights? Are there any other heavyweights come to mind with glaring technical flaws?
Basically, the heavyweight division.
Okay.
Just to be clear. That's been the case for some years.
Just to be clear, I just want to ask James.
Yeah, no. Listen, there are no. Listen, the heavyweight division has not been gifted with a Pernell Whitaker type for a very long time.
The 80s. This ain't the 80s or the 90s. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. This is far from.
There ain't no Lennox Lewis out there. There ain't no King of the Ring Lennox Lewis out there.
No, there ain't no Ridley Bowles. There are no Evander Holyfield.
There ain't no Ridley Bowles.
The heavyweight division right now is trash.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Hot garbage.
I always say
has been for a long time, and that includes Deontay Wilder.
Okay. Does it include Tyson Fury?
I wouldn't classify Tyson Fury as trash. No.
Okay.
But I would say he's the king of a trash division.
Okay. Does
Rafi
have the same energy for Fury? What energy is that? Clarify. Rafi's salty. How the hell am I salty? I'm alkaline. Rafi's alkaline based. Let's get that straight. Ain't no saltiness around here, brother. You know what I'm saying? The only salty thing I got, I mean, you know, you can have a sample. You want to sample in a cup? You want to sample in a cup?
Can I interject, Mr. Dawkins?
Most certainly, mate.
Just a question for you on Tyson Fury's technicalities.
Yeah.
I do have a little bit of pushback. I think you're being a bit harsh. Okay. I mean, you have to accept that is he the only heavyweight that is a switch hitter that is able to technically fight orthodox and southpaw? He has great movement. It's there. I get it. He's not technically perfect, but I do think he is up pushing towards technically elite. I do think that.
Okay. Well, it's opinions. That's what we're here for. It's opinions, and that's what we're here for. We say things, and the people respond. Okay. So, what's going on here?
And let's not forget the Tony Bellew fight.
Who called Usyk trash? I want to hear him address him calling Usyk trash. Who called Usyk trash?
I did.
Oh, is he trash?
No.
Okay.
I was being overly critical, but again, when I made that comment, that was fresh off of the I had just reviewed the Tony Bellew fight, and the thing about the Tony Bellew fight is that in my mind, he lays the blueprint on how you beat Usyk, and Bellew was actually having his way and making it look easy. And in my mind, he exposed Usyk. So that's the backdrop on why I made that comment and why I felt that Joshua would be able to implement some of that game plan that Bellew used, and he should be able to handle Usyk. But I underestimated Usyk and I overestimated Joshua.
Underestimated Usyk, overestimated Joshua. Okay, so in comes me. What am I saying? What I'm saying is that hold on. Reality voice. Define signs of improvement. Okay, well, I'll do that. I think that Joshua showed signs of improvement. Obviously tactically. Number one, he went to Usyk's body which I was calling for, other people were calling for. I said go to the body. Before the first fight, after the first fight, Anthony Joshua started out. He didn't mess about. He went straight to the body. Straight to the body. So that's one improvement. That's one improvement. He said signs of improvement. That's one actual improvement, not even a sign. It's more than a sign, it's actuality. So he went to the body. 2, he stepped to Usyk and kept on stepping to Usyk. We said that he had to take it to Usyk, and that's what he did for the most part. Kept on stepping to Usyk. So that's 2. 3, as a matter of fact, I should have the damn fight playing in the background, shouldn't I? To remind me of what he was doing. 3, what's the third thing? What's the third thing that Joshua was doing? The hooks. The hooks. He was going upstairs, downstairs, downstairs, upstairs, punch variety, the hooks straight down the middle. So I guess I should write these things down because people are going to ask me them later. So 1, 2, 3, body attack, body A attack, body attack. 2, stepping to Usyk, 2, and 3, punch variety. Punch variety. Okay, so there's 3 things off the top of my head, 3 improvements from Joshua. Far more focused, and I think also
more aggressive.
4, 4 more aggressive. More aggressive. Yeah. So body attack, stepping to Usyk, punch variety, more aggressive. There's a 4 points right there, 4 points of improvement that I saw from Anthony Joshua. What does he say? Rafael Dawkins combat. Definite, not defined. Definite. Okay, well, those are definite then. Well, either way, brother. You know, whether it's defined or definite, what I've just said fits both criteria. So you can't quibble with that. Ain't no quibbling with that. I'm not saying that you were quibbling. Okay. So those are 4 things that I saw different in Joshua. More aggressive. I'm going to put 5. I think 5 is slightly different. It's similar to 4. It's mentality. 5. It's the mentality. You saw it in his eyes from the time he made his ring walk. Mentality. It was his mentality was I'm going to go in there and I'm going to take it to him and I'm going to try my best to take his head off. I'm going to go in there and take his head off. That was his mentality. You could see it in his eyes. He had the belief, mentality, stroke, belief. He believed in himself. He had more belief. What I will say is this. I think he should have left McCracken a lot earlier. I've said it many times and I'll say it again. Anthony Joshua said that, you know, in the beginning, you're in kindergarten. So you have a kindergarten teacher. And then you go to high school, well, whatever the progress is. And then you have a high school teacher. But then you leave high school and you go to university. And then you have a university professor. Yeah. And then if you want to go beyond that, then you want to go for your master's. Then you have a master's. You have a master trainer. And I think that Anthony Joshua, me personally, I feel that Anthony Joshua is not diminished by fighting Usyk 2 times and losing to Usyk 2 times because we have seen progression. We've seen progression. I think that fighting Oleksandr Usyk 2 times will have been painful to Joshua because he lost. Emotionally painful, mentally painful, yes. But I think ultimately this will have made him a far better fighter.
Can I interject, Mr. Dawkins?
Most certainly.
I actually think that there's a silver lining to this cloud of losing the belts. It does offer a great opportunity to concentrate and work on things. Now, I do believe with the minimal fighting he's been doing, he has to take some blame for not closing some of the gaps in his boxing repertoire.
Mm.
But he is now free to pursue fights that suit, because when you hold multiple belts and you have multiple mandatories, you have very little opportunity for voluntaries to pick fights that can help develop your career, to pick fights that are best suited for your needs. And now he's free to do this.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping that we see an improved Joshua. And I would say that, yes, we have to acknowledge that he's not a perfect boxer. He does have flaws. But for me, same thing with my favourite fighter, Dillian White, and another fighter that's not my favourite, but Deontay Wilder. If we're going to acknowledge their flaws, we have to acknowledge that they've actually overperformed.
Yeah.
If Joshua is as flawed as the fight doctor says, being a two-time free belt holder is some achievement. If we say that Deontay Wilder is as flawed, having 10 title defenses is a great achievement.
Mm.
If Deontay Wilder is as flawed as he is, as we say he is, even if we can pick his resume apart, having 10 title defenses is still an achievement. He's still overperformed.
Mm.
So it's just a little bit of perspective for that. Even Tyson Fury, you know, we can pick his resume apart, but he might go down levels, but then when he goes up a level, he always seems to find a way. He always finds a way to get through. All of these fighters that I've mentioned have supreme heart. They all do have some skill.
Yeah.
They all do have some attributes that have got them to where they are. And I think if boxing wasn't so tribal, we would actually be able to enjoy the sport and the fighters and the fights a lot more if we weren't so hell-bent on picking sides and tearing other boxers down. We could actually enjoy them and appreciate the skills that are on display.
Big time.
As well as having a sophisticated, non-judgmental analysis of the areas that they need to improve on. Because I don't think it's a trash era. I think Fight Doctor's reminiscing a bit too hard of the olden times and comparing them. Yeah, it's not as good as the 80s. It's not as good, but I'm seeing many competitive fights, and the disappointing thing is the networks and the cross promotionals getting those fights made. That's a difficult thing, because one thing did concern me: if Joshua had managed to beat Usyk, is would we get Undisputed with his exclusive deal signed to DAZN? Whereas another silver lining of Usyk winning, he's network free, so he is able to box on Top Rank, on Queensberry, or wherever he needs to make Undisputed happen. And I sincerely hope it does.
Yeah. Yes. The Fight Doctor. I don't know if you want to come in at that juncture.
Very well said, Mr. Figures. Very well said, and I agree. So politics, unfortunately, are part of boxing. We must acknowledge them. We must deal with them. We must live with them, even though that politics often get in the way of meaningful fights that need to happen. We should have cleared up this heavyweight nonsense long time ago. But, that's just the sport of boxing. I will repeat what I often say, that being a fan of the sport of boxing is sort of like being in love with a $2 whore.
Oh.
You're constantly being brokenhearted. But in this instance, what happened on Saturday, I think is a good thing for the sport. Anthony Joshua fans notwithstanding, because being that Usyk doesn't have the same entanglements that Joshua does, makes it possible where maybe perhaps, we can see the two best guys in the division fight, and at this point, settle any lingering questions that there may still be.
I find it interesting. People's perceptions. I find quite interesting. I saw where is it? I saw an article. Where is it? Didn't I save this? Okay, that's interesting. That's very interesting. I could have swore that I saved it, but it don't matter. I remember the content. The title is A Little Race, but I will listen, then make. Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know what you mean by that. But anyway, yeah. So Oleksandrusyk came out and said that I saw AJ. I saw in his eyes. I think round nine. That he felt as if he already won. He already won the fight. And I say to myself, keep going. You must keep going. So that flies in the face. It flies in the face. As a matter of fact, let me make a banner of this because it's a very important point. Let me make a banner so I can put it up. Let's have a look.
Say, Rafi, can I make a real comment real quick regarding the judging?
Yeah.
The judge who scored that fight 115, 113 for Joshua, that judge should never work another title fight again because that score was disgraceful.
It was a big margin. Yeah, it was a big margin. But then on the other
hand, I did not see Joshua winning 7 rounds in that fight.
It was a big margin. But then on the other
5
hand,
if you're generous. Okay.
Yeah.
Me personally, I think I might have gave him 4.
Yeah, I think I gave him 5. But on the other hand, you have to say, well, it was kind of like the Zhangzhilei Zhang versus filiphrgovic fight. I don't know if you saw that because there was 2 different camps on that one. One, you had the volume coming from Hrgovic, but on the other hand, you had the heavier shots coming from Zhangzhilei Zhang. So a lot of people thought that, even though Hrgovic landed more volume, the heavier shots were coming from Zhangzhilei Zhang, and Zhangzhilei Zhang won it. So I can understand a judge saying, well, you had more volume, but the other guy was landing more heavier shots. But I hear what you're saying. It was not easy. It was not an EASY night for Usyk. USYK. Okay, let me put that up as a banner. I don't want it to scroll. I just want it to show, save that, and show that. Okay, so there's this misconception that it was an easy night. Yes, and Tyson Fury's cousin, the last thing that he did was he watched the Joshua versus Usyk fight at a bar, and I think after that's when he lost his life to knife crime. So R.I.P. Tyson Fury's cousin, Rico Burton. Very, very sad. Knife crime. Stamp it out. Looking to stamp that out. Okay.
Knife crime is a disgusting, vile thing. I hate it.
Disgraceful.
My niece and nephews lost their father. My nephew wasn't even born when his father died to knife crime.
Wow.
Destroys families. Same with gun violence. It's just despicable. People make me sick.
Yeah, I was as a schoolboy. There was a kid in my class. It turns out that, I was wondering why he was looking down in the dumps. Turns out that his father had lost his life in a pub fight. The other geezer pulled out a knife, and my school friend lost his father to knife crime. So
Cowards, I think.
cowardly.
Cowards.
I know another guy. Once again, his father was a big guy, got into a pub fight, and he due to knife crime. Well, got into a pub fight, and he became wheelchair bound due to a knife. So very, very cowardly. Very, very cowardly. Something which I've never really supported. Never really supported the knife. Never really supported weapons. But there's some cowardly people out there who do. We need to. But then sometimes the courts don't help. I watched a video of a guy who shanked a couple of people outside a club, and it turns out he got 3 years. He got 3 years. So the courts send out mixed messages. How are you gonna have somebody shank 2 different people and get 3 years? Totally wrong message. The courts need to start stepping up their game and start giving people proper sentences for the use of bladed articles. So yeah, we give up to Rico Burton, R.I.P. So as we continue, okay, so there's a misconception that it was an easy night for Usyk, but with his own words, that tells you when he said he thought he could see the anthonyjoshua, thought that he could win, and thought he had one, and he had to keep on telling himself, press on, press on, press on. So let's dispel this misconception that Usyk had an easy night. He never had an easy fight in either fight, and in this one, Usyk was fighting for his life. Anthonyjoshua was touching him up, buckling him, making him wince in pain, sending him reeling away from punches, having him hang on. This was Oleksandr Usyk must have felt like he was fighting for his life in there at times. Leon figures.
I wouldn't say it was an easy night for Oleksandr Usyk at all. The difficulty came as he said to Joshua, "You are strong with the power," but a lot of Joshua's punches weren't scoring punches. They weren't hitting a target. Usyk made him miss a lot. Although Joshua had the volume this time, they weren't landing. Whereas Usyk had far more accuracy. And I think that's where people are saying it. It wasn't say he had an easier night. It was, it was a schooling of technical accuracy with his shots, of riding a shot, taking it, and also being able to dig deep after what he went through after 8 and 9, to come back so strong in 10, 11 and 12, the championship rounds where champions are made. I think that was where people are saying, and once again, a lot of the talk is tribal because people don't like Joshua, they don't like Joshua fans. They will use exaggerated terms to describe it as an easy night. I agree, it wasn't an easy night, but technically, Joshua just couldn't get near him. It did look a lot more, what's the word, fruitful on Joshua's part compared to the last fight, but I gave him the same amount of rounds I did when in his first fight. He just looked a bit better, but even in the rounds he looked better, Usyk was still able to pull ahead with his accuracy.
Yeah, fight doctor. It was not.
Yeah. So
easy night. It was not an easy night for Usyk.
No, I mean, listen, Usyk nearly got stopped in the 9th round.
Right.
There was nothing easy about the 9th round for Usyk. No question there. It was not an easy night for Usyk at all. I mean, Joshua was employing some different tactics, some of them dirty, going to the body more, focusing on the body, which Usyk definitely signaled on a few occasions that he was not happy with the body work that Joshua was doing. And, I thought, the body work would pay off some dividends in the latter half of the fight, but, it seems that perhaps maybe Joshua didn't focus enough on the body. Maybe had he, threw more to the body, outcome might have been different, but, early in the fight, Joshua was definitely showing some signs and, some promise, but, Usyk seems to have made an adjustment about the second or third round. And then, that was that for the most part.
Yeah. Usyk made some adjustments. Usyk did make some adjustments. Usyk was missing a lot. Usyk was missing a lot. Usyk was missing too. Joshua was slipping. Joshua was slipping a lot of shots. Usyk was throwing more volume, yes, but missing a lot too.
So Joshua was actually employing a pretty decent glove defense.
Yes.
And he was catching a lot of those shots coming from Usyk. So Usyk was not landing a tremendous amount of leather on Joshua.
Yeah, Joshua was certainly more evasive. That's another improvement we saw from Joshua, more evasive. Watch your background noise there. Let me add that to the list. 7, more evasive. More evasive. Usyk was in a fight for his life in there. People need to understand it wasn't no walk in the park. Usyk said to himself, I must continue. I must keep going. Usyk was fighting for his life in there. He was fighting for his life. Don't forget it. Don't forget that. That's a good point. I want to talk about points fighting. Usyk. Let me put another headline up in here. Some people are gonna find it controversial, but we're going for it. We are going for it, mate. We're going for it. Okay, Usyk is a points fighter. Usyk is a points fighter. Boom. That's a statement. Usyk, I'm saying this. Usyk is a points fighter. Let me tell you about point fighting. I think the best points fighter, one of the characteristics of a points fighter, one of the aims and objectives, rather, of a points fighter is that they want to hit you and they don't want you to hit them. They want to hit you, they want to stick and then get out of the way. Hit you, then get out of the way when you try to get them back. One of the best points fighters I've ever been in was a kickboxer. And it was a young guy. He was long. And I would try to launch an attack, and then he'd shift, and then he'd touch me. And I'd say, very clever. Okay, so I missed that time. Reset, go for another attack. He'd slip, and then maybe touch me. And this happened for the whole round. In kickboxing, we keep it rotating. You keep it rotating. So the winner stayed on. He won. I barely touched him. I don't know if I touched him once. And then I was out. But the thing is this. I even though he touched me, I didn't really feel it. I didn't really feel nothing. The characteristics, what makes a person decide to become a points fighter oftentimes is when they are not particularly powerful. They don't have power on their side. So what they do is they say, well, I ain't got power on my side. You got more power than me. So I'm just going to touch you. Get out the way. Conserve my energy. I'm going to touch you again. get out the way, conserve my energy. You're going to try to tap me. I'm going to get out the way, touch you, out the way, conserve my energy. And so you can go a whole damn fight. You can go a whole damn fight without being overly hurt, but you've been touched up by a points fighter. And by the time you know it, the fight's over and you've lost on points. That's been my experience. That's been my experience with points fighters. Leon Figures.
Totally agree. Usyk, along with Lomachenko, very much a cerebral fighter. He's more of a purist. He doesn't rely on power. He takes the opportunity if it's there. I think his power comes into play in the heavyweights when his opponents face mental exhaustion from trying to find the angles and stay off the line and trying to read him. It's like trying to play speed chess, and then they get mentally tired, and then he pounces, and he's got an extremely elite level gas tank. He's got an elite level ability to take a shot, because one thing Anthony Joshua is blessed with is power in both hands. And although he was blocking and riding a lot of them, he took everything Joshua had to offer, and he was still standing and was able to go through the gears in return himself. Once he knew Joshua would have needed a recovery round after the efforts he put in the 8th and 9th, he still had it in him to put his foot on the gas and put it on AJ in the 10th. So it's I totally agree. And I remember him saying this after the Derek Chisora fight, when Derek Chisora was just steaming forward wildly, pressure fighting. Usyk was dodging, boxing, and that's what he kept screaming at the end. This is boxing. Woo, woo, this is boxing. He was trying to express it, isn't it? Trying to let people know, I know you love Derek Chisora. I know you love his come forward, all aggression style. I know he's a fan favorite. But at the end of the day, we're in a boxing ring. We're not fighting in the back of the pub, having a straightener. And very much so. He is very much a points fighter, and I believe he's that by design. I believe that is what he believes in. Yeah.
Usyk is a points fighter. The fight, doctor. Your views.
So on this side of the pond, what you guys call a points fighter, we call an ambush fighter. So that's what Usyk is. He's an ambush fighter, right? And kind of sort of like, in the same vein as like a Manny Pacquiao, right? He sets up camp on the outside just beyond where you can reach him, and then he darts in, throws his combinations, and then gets out of the way, right? Which is smart, okay? But now, there is a way to deal with the ambush fighter, which is this, is that, after the ambush, you go on the attack. And the thing is that Joshua was doing this in spots and having success, because after the ambush, there's nothing else he can do. That's when you launch your attack. And after the ambush, Joshua in spots would then go after Usyk, throwing combinations. Now, in some instances, he would throw combinations. Most of them would miss. Most of the punches would miss. A few punches would land. But the simple fact of the matter is, after the ambush, Joshua then goes on the attack. Joshua is throwing combinations, and what is Usyk doing? Not punching back. And the fact is, okay, the punches are not landing, but if you keep up with that strategy, after the ambush, go on the attack, you're punching, he's in the retreat, he's not punching back. Well, guess what? If he's not punching back, he's not scoring points. And I just don't understand how come they didn't implement more of that strategy. Okay, because it was negating what Usyk was trying to do, or at the very minimum, you were matching him. If he comes at you with the ambush and scores his points, now you come on the attack after the ambush, you score your points. and then let the judges decide who had the better of the exchange.
Yeah, but then we're talking about the gas tank. Then we're talking about the gas tank. We're talking about the gas tank.
So again, we get into one of the technical deficiencies of Anthony Joshua. So listen, earlier today I was thinking about what boxing demands, right? Boxing demands truth, right? And boxing is, contrary to popular belief, boxing is not a sport. Boxing is a religion. And it requires your devotion every day.
That's true.
Every day you must prostrate yourself at boxing's
100%.
altar.
Yep,
you must prostrate yourself at boxing's altar. You must observe its tenets with the strictest of faith, whether you are signed to fight or not. Every day, you must observe the religion of boxing, not practice the sport, the religion. Okay, and these issues that you have, when you do that, then some of these issues will start to go away, like the stamina issue. Okay, but again, that's, in my mind, one of the problems that Joshua has is that he does not adhere to a fighter's lifestyle. In my opinion, I don't think so. Because if he did, if he were practicing the religion of boxing, then these glaring technical flaws that exist in his game would not be there, or would not be as glaring as they are.
I don't know about that. I think he's one of the most dedicated guys to the craft out there. So I don't know.
I don't know. With the balance issue, the footwork issue, the constant overcommitting on punches at this late stage in the game, some of these imperfections are just inexcusable for a top heavyweight.
Overcommitting. Come on.
Yes, he overcommits on the right hand, and he does it religiously. Yes.
If you throw a right hand, then it's easy to overcommit. I mean, come on, who's never thrown a punch and just kind of?
I'm sorry, but no, but the top, you've never seen Floyd Mayweather overcommit on the right hand.
He ain't no heavyweight.
I'm sorry, what boxing respects weight classes?
Different breed, heavyweight.
So is your argument that the foundation of the technical foundations of boxing are different depending on what weight class you're in? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
The fundamentals are all the same, and the tenets and the pillars are all the same.
Okay, so then the religion is the same. It doesn't matter what
the dynamics when you get into the heavyweight division. Come on now, it's a little bit different. Like running. Okay, I'll put it to you like this way: running is running. Would you agree?
Running is running. I agree. Road work is road work.
Running is running, but when you're talking about that 100 meters, it's a little bit different from anything else. It's a little bit different from other type of running. When you're talking about the blue ribbon event, that 100 meters.
Okay, but
it's a little bit different. It's still running.
At the end of the day,
a little bit different.
At the end of the day, you have to practice the same religion of boxing, whether you are a heavyweight, lightweight, middleweight, regardless weight. Doesn't matter. The religion is still the same. The mechanics of throwing a right hand are the same no matter what weight class you're in. They don't teach heavyweights to throw right hands differently than middleweights. They don't.
Okay, well, let's look at this then. Let me show you another reason why it's different. Heavyweights are different. Because they will say, okay, yeah, a trainer's a trainer, but it's different when you're a heavyweight trainer. That's a heavyweight is a specialist field in and of itself. They can say you can have a middleweight trainer, you could have 100, you could have a man who trained 100 middleweight champions. And then they'll say, but hold on. He ain't trained not one heavyweight champion. It's a different field, my friend. It's a different thing. It's the same, but it's different. The heavyweights, they're just that little bit different, my friend.
Is it your argument? So are you trying to convince us, the listening public, all right? Are you trying to convince us that it is okay as a heavyweight to commit on throwing a right hand? Is that your argument?
It is not
overcommit on throwing a right hand.
It is not okay. But what I'm saying to you is that when you're dealing with the heavyweights, it's just a little bit different. It's a little bit different. You know, those heavyweight, those concussive shots. I agree. Technically, you should always have your fundamentals, and I'm sure he's working on it. But look at the guy who's proclaimed to be one of the heaviest punchers of all times. He comes from America. He comes from Alabama. His balance is all over the place.
Okay, can we? All right. What I have a question. What does Deontay Wilder have to do with what happened Saturday night?
Well, we're talking about balance, and what I'm saying to you is that
we're talking about Anthony Joshua and the fact that he lifts his hand. That's what we're talking about.
Hold on a second. We're talking about power, and we're talking about heavyweights. And I'm saying to you, the heavyweights is just like running. Yeah, the 100 meters is running, but it's a little bit different. And likewise, the heavyweights, yeah, it's boxing, but you can train. You can have a trainer who trains 100 middleweight champions, but they'll say, "Hold on, you can't train my guy. My guy's a heavyweight. What's this guy's pedigree with the heavyweights?" And that, my friend, is for a reason, because the heavyweights, they're just a little bit different. And then when we're talking about power, don't worry, we'll get back to Anthony Joshua. But then when we're talking about power, we cannot overlook the fact that one of the guys who's been proclaimed to be one of the heavyweights with the most power ever happens to be a man from Alabama. And his balance is all over the place. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying it's supposed to be that way, but it is that way. Should heavyweights work on tidying up their game? Of course they should. Would it be more energy efficient if they tidy up the game and don't overcommit on power shots? Of course it would be sensible, and it would be more economical. Yes, I understand that, but let's not overlook certain realities of the heavyweights. But if you look at it, counter argument, look at a Lennox Lewis, one of my favorite heavyweights of all times. He was balanced. Was he not balanced? Of course he was balanced. He was well balanced, and that leads to better economy of shots. You're going, I think were they going 15 rounds then? I don't know. They dropped it down to 12 rounds by then, but still. You know, so yeah, I understand. Leon Figures is muted. Okay, maybe he's
I'm back now. Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
We're talking about points fighting. What was the fight doctor's point?
You were talking about the technicalities, and I think, to use your running analogy, what fight doctor would be saying is, whether you're running 100 meters, 1500 meters, or a marathon, there is still a running cadence that you would have, a running stride, a healthy way to run, a correct way to run, a correct way to plant your feet, and yeah, there are boxing fundamentals. What I would say is, I'm spending a bit of time with a boxing trainer who trains amateurs and professionals.
Yeah.
And I've been doing a few of their training drills.
Okay.
And went in for a little bit of light sparring.
Yeah.
What I would say is, being in the ring, having to focus on so many things, it looks a lot easier on TV than it does to just say, "Oh, why didn't he throw the right hand?" I remember I was looking to throw a punch, and after I threw the punch, I looked at and my whole body was just exposed for a counter, and I was like, "Okay, I've got to remember this when I'm commentating on a fight next time," and saying something like, "Why does he look like that?" There's so many technical things to do.
Yeah.
So I think it is hard for us when we're watching it as fans, and we're saying fighters are technically poor. I think what we're doing is comparing them to the elite, because they're the elite side of the sport. But as Fight Doctor said, just because they're at the elite side of the sport doesn't mean every boxer is elite, and doesn't mean every boxer has the full repertoire of elite level skills. They all have areas that they need to improve on. So it's it is difficult to. It's easy to fall into the line of over criticizing because, as a fight doctor said, boxing does have to be a religion because it is so technical.
Yeah.
The only way you're going to have a chance is if you are dedicated day in, day out. You see it. I mean, that's why Tyson Fury is such an enigma. The way he's able to leave the sport, balloon in weight, come back, and achieve the things he achieves. It really shouldn't work like that. Now, that is someone who I would say is naturally gifted boxer. And because I was saying, I realized somebody said that Usyk's naturally, but I think his initial passion was football, and he only went into boxing because his parents couldn't fund his footballing endeavors. It was a sport he stumbled into, and I would say that Usyk is more being trained by Papachenko.
Yeah.
I think he's more been trained into the elite boxer that he is, rather than having the natural skills.
Quite possibly.
I have a question.
Clement Italum says the referee saved Usyk from a knockout. Are we talking about the shot that they said was low? The shot that had him buckled? The body shot on his belt?
No, I think he's probably talking about the 9th round.
Okay.
But I have a question. Can someone tell me the number of feints Joshua used Saturday night? The number of feints. How many feints did Joshua use?
Yeah. I don't know. What's the answer?
I saw 0.
Okay.
That's a problem.
No, you didn't see 0.
No, I didn't see Joshua use a single feint all night.
You may have seen 0. I remember a feint. I remember early feint. First 2 rounds. I remember a feint specifically. Yeah, I remember a feint within the first 2 rounds. I was surprised. I was impressed. But I'd have to go watch it back to see more if there were more. But we can't get away from the fact that Joshua was better. You question whether Joshua has dedicated himself to the damn thing. I think he certainly has. I think he has dedicated himself to this thing.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Joshua was better, right?
Yeah.
So, like, have you ever knew someone whose cooking was just chronically bad, just consistently bad? Like whenever they cook something, it was just horrible.
No, I never have.
I see where you're going with this, my doctor.
Right.
I never have. And if there were somebody who was cooking was so chronically bad, they wouldn't have become a championship cook.
Well, I mean, I've known people who just, can't cook.
Okay.
They tried, they gave it an honest effort, right? Yeah. But just anything that they make was just horrible, terrible. I had a hard time choking it down.
Right? I avoid those ladies.
All right. So, but just follow what I'm getting at, right? So you have this person who's a terrible cook, and after some criticism, they go back and reassess their recipes or whatever, and then they come back with something which is still bad, but not quite as bad as it was.
Poor
analogy. You know what I'm saying?
Poor analogy, because that person never became a champion cook.
Joshua's never been a champion.
Joshua's been a champion, a 2-time champion.
Really? Who did he beat? Who did he beat to become champion?
And he's 2-time. He became multiple champion. And
who did he beat to become champion?
And he, not only that, but he's fought more consensus top 10 guys than Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, the man from Alabama, put together. So we're not going to do that.
Who did Joshua beat to become champion?
We're not going to do that again because we've done it multiple
But
time.
you're the one who's making the claim that Joshua is a champion. I'm asking you to substantiate that claim.
Well,
Answer.
well,
Who did he beat to
well,
become
it's-
champion?
It's well known. We know. We've
Well, it's not well known because I don't know.
well, that's your shortcoming, and that's a failing on your part. But I'm certainly not going to be drawn into a discussion which we've had ad infinitum over here with you, my dear fellow. But the record books show that Anthony Joshua has been a two-time heavyweight champion, unified champion, and not only that, but he's fought more Ring Magazine top 10 fighters than Tyson Fury and the man from Alabama put together. Facts. Spell that for me again. Spell that for me, Doctor.
FACKTS. Facts. Who has more title defenses?
Well, it's
Who
irrelevant.
has more consecutive title defenses?
It's irrelevant because they were low hanging fruit.
Oh,
Low-hanging fruit.
It's irrelevant. Okay.
Low-hanging fruit.
I see how this game goes.
We see how that game go.
I see how that game goes.
And so, okay, let's get into
Anthony cheerleading contingent is still in full effect. Yes,
absolutely not. We're dealing with FACKTS over here. Okay, and I know you approve of that spelling. Okay, so so I think that Anthony Joshua, my position is that Anthony Joshua, I think Anthony Joshua is a better fighter for this experience, fighting Oleksandrusyk. Many a man would have vacated the WBO belt, come up with excuses why they shouldn't fight him. I think the history books will show. This is what I'm saying. I think the history books will show that Anthony Joshua post losses to this fella here, Oleksandrusyk from the Ukraine. I think the record books will show that Anthony Joshua became a better fighter, a more complete fighter, a more evasive fighter, a fighter with better head movement, a fighter with more belief. What else? A fighter with more punch variety. After
Do you think he'll get a belt again, Mr. Dawkins?
I think the record books will show that Anthony Joshua was at least a 3-time world heavyweight champion. There, I said it.
I can hear the violins playing.
Well, there ain't no necessary need for violins. You can hear the champagne bottles popping. That would make more sense.
Well, I guess only in the AJ cheerleading contingent world would you pop champagne bottles after an AJ loss. So, you guys feel the need to celebrate. Have at it, sir.
I'm not popping champagne bottles, but at the same time, I mean, careful of background noise there. At the same time, one has to be able to objectively oversee a situation. And what I see is that Anthony Joshua is a better fighter for having fought Oleksandrusyk. He won't be focused on that now. But going forward, I think you're dealing with a more complete fighter than he was prior to fighting Oleksandrusyk. I think it's going to be good for him. He won't see that now, but I think ultimately will prove good for him. Fight, doctor. I can see you're unmuted. Let's go.
Joshua is done. Fury beats him. Wilder puts him to sleep. We already know Usyk beats him. And I suspect that there are at least 2 guys on the come up right now who in the next 12, 24 months also beat him. Joshua is done. Finito. It's a wrap. Okay? The fat lady, not only has she sang, but she's hummed, she's played the violin, the piano, even the trumpet.
Whoa, dang. She's done a Louis Armstrong.
Yep. It's a wrap.
Green.
Who beats Joshua fight, Doctor?
Yeah, good question.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't catch the question.
I said, which of the current boxers beat Joshua for his career to be over?
Fury beats him. Wilder puts him to sleep. Usyk beats him. I think Frank Sanchez, after some more seasoning, a couple more fights, he beats him.
Everybody. You think everybody?
There's probably one more guy coming up who I can't think of at the moment. Maybe even Joe Joyce. I would like to see that fight.
Joe Joyce beats him, you think?
Maybe.
Dubois?
Possible. I don't know. I don't know.
You wouldn't
I
go
don't
that
know
far.
if Dubois is ready yet. I don't know.
You wouldn't go that far.
Maybe possibly Joe Joyce.
Maybe Joe Joyce. Bacoli?
That was an extensive list indeed.
That's an extensive list. That's a long list. That's like a shopping list. That's like a receipt from Morrison's. That's like a receipt from the place where you buy your mushrooms.
So you've barely got him as a top 10, a current top 10 now.
Barely. Does he
listen. Right now, you still would have to put Anthony Joshua in the top 5. Now, me personally, I think I would have. So Fury 1, Usyk 2, Wilder 3, especially if Wilder wins his next fight. And
Wilder
Joshua 4.
Wilder, who hasn't won a fight in 3 years?
Yeah, when was the last time Joshua won a fight?
Well, it wasn't 3 years. It was
when is the last time Joshua won a fight?
Pulev.
How long ago was that?
18 months ago.
Right. So in those 18 months, what has happened? Joshua lost to a guy in Usyk who wasn't even ranked, probably not in the top 10. And if he was, it was the lower half of the top 10.
How relevant is that when you
That's very relevant because losing
is that when you admit yourself that the guy might be the number one pound for pound fighter in the world.
I never said that Usyk was number 1 pound for pound in the world. I said he's on the pound for pound list.
Top
Crawford
5.
is number 1 pound for pound.
Top 5.
I'm happy with that. But pound for pound has nothing to do with your ranking at heavyweight. Nothing. Ranking at heavyweight has everything to do with who you beat in the division.
Well,
in the first fight, but hold on, let me make my point. In the first fight, okay, Usyk had only beaten Chisora and Witherspoon. So we're talking about in Chisora, a guy who maybe was top 10, and then a guy in Witherspoon maybe was top 20, maybe top 20. So in the first fight,
that's irrelevant if he's pound for pound top 5.
No, I'm sorry. Pound for pound is all nice and good, but it's got nothing to do with your standing as a heavyweight. Nothing.
Well, it does, because if you're
it does not.
5, that means you're a top heavyweight.
No, it means that you are a top pound for pound fighter. Got nothing to do with heavyweight. Nothing.
Which means that you're top. You're very highly ranked.
Okay, so then, all right. So using your argument, then I guess I can make Terence Crawford the number 1 heavyweight in the world, seeing as he's number 1 pound for pound. Yes.
No. But you can make him high in his division.
I can make him number 1 pound for pound. I'm sorry, number 1 heavyweight.
You can make him high in his division. He's high ranking in his division.
So if Terence Crawford would have moved to 154 tomorrow without having fought anyone at 154, your argument is I can make him what, number 2, number 1 in the division when he hasn't beaten anyone in the division? Well, and that's somehow fair to you.
Well, by definition, the guy who is in the top 10 pound for pound rankings, he is a top fighter in his division. I'm not talking about moving division, in his division, in his chosen division. So
a guy is a top fighter in his division when he beats top fighters in his division. Now,
okay. So
in my mind, Usyk doesn't get special. Usyk doesn't get any points for being a top pound for pound. Listen, nobody was talking about pound for pound until he beat Joshua. Let's be honest.
No,
Usyk was not on anybody's. Usyk was not in anybody's top 5.
He was lineal cruiserweight champion. So it's
okay, and that's fine and dandy. But being lineal cruiserweight champion means nothing at heavyweight. Doesn't mean a damn thing.
Well, it's proven to mean something because he's now the unified heavyweight champion. So it's proven to mean something.
Okay, but at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, what Usyk did at cruiserweight has no bearing whatsoever on his standing as a heavyweight. Zero. Neither does his status pound for pound, and nobody had Usyk top 5 pound for pound prior to him beating Joshua the first time. So this argument that somehow Usyk deserves some type of special spike in his ratings at heavyweight because of his status pound for pound and because of his status as a cruiserweight champion, that argument makes literally no sense.
I have no
Fire
idea
doctor,
where you're
fire
going.
doctor,
I have no
please.
idea where you're going, but you seem to be chasing your tail.
Fire
The
doctor.
point that I'm making,
chasing your tail around. You're going around and around in
Okay,
circles.
so
You're
the
chasing
point-
your tail.
all right, well then let me clarify the point that I'm making, if I may.
Please do.
There is no logical reason to rate Joshua ahead of Wilder because
Lord! Oh my God! Carry
if
on.
I may finish,
Carry on, please.
Wilder, okay, has only lost to one guy.
Oh Lord!
The one guy being the lineal undefeated heavyweight champion.
Oh
The-
Lord!
The honest to God goodness number one guy in the division.
Oh Lord!
That's the only person. That's the
How
only
is he
guy.
number one? How is he number one?
In
What
order
makes
to
him
be the
number
man,
one?
you have to beat the man.
5 years ago, then he retired. We've done this conversation before as well. We're not doing it again. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and then he retired. Tyson Fury has only beat 2 top 10 fighters in the last 5 years. 2. Anthony Joshua has beat 6 or 7. There is no comparison. Leon figures.
I was going to say that it is a bit unfair to not include Usyk's achievements at cruiserweight, especially as he went undisputed, always the away fighter, and then coming up and being a multi-belt, unified heavyweight champion as well. I think that does count. You know, that's what makes people like Evander Holyfield, Usyk, that's what makes them special.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to go up from cruiserweight to heavyweight, and that is kind of what the pound for pound was. You know, if the smaller guys was to fight the bigger guys in an even setting, how it would cope. Whereas he's able to go up in his current setting and still be extremely competitive to the point where he is a 3-belt heavyweight world champion as well as a former undisputed cruiserweight. So that's why it is important to acknowledge his cruiserweight accolades. Same way it was important to acknowledge Evander Holyfield's cruiserweight accolades when assessing him as a fighter for his achievements. And when it comes to Joshua and Wilder, their comparisons are slightly different. Wilder had more title defenses, but he had more voluntaries because he was defending his one belt. But Joshua was had less defenses, but was a multi-weight. I think so. He beat 2 more champions. And the same way you was asking who did Joshua beat, Joshua beating Martin and Parker, and then Klitschko for the vacant.
Yeah.
I think that does earn more credit than beating Bermain Stavern to get your belt.
100%.
So it's if we're going to compare Wilder and Joshua, we have to have the full conversation. And if we're going to pick the bones at one, then we have to pick the bones at the other.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's have a full conversation. There's a lot to unpack.
No.
Wait, I need to respond to that because there's a lot.
Because you stated your point for a longer period of time. You've had some more rounds, and the rounds have been longer, so you've had ample time to express your views on the matter. And the fact of the matter is, there are other things to talk about. So what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to get bogged down in any one aspect of the thing. You've had ample time to express yourself, and I think you've done so. And I think everyone else has done so too. So what we do at this juncture is we move on so as to avoid getting stale. I think everybody can understand that. Okay. So moving on. what are we talking about now? Who does Joshua fight next? I propose he fight another Southie, lefty, southpaw. I propose he fight Otto Wallin. Otto Wallin. Spent the last year training for a Southie. Might as well fight another Southie. Who do you propose to fight, Doctor?
So what I think, if Joshua, so my personal feeling is that Joshua needs to retire because it's overweight, it's done. He's seen his best day. His best days are now behind him. He has been exposed 3 times. His technical flaws are glaring. It's way late in the game to be trying to fix, the fundamentals like balance and not overcommitting on your punches and footwork. Okay. The stamina issue is only going to get worse at this juncture. So if he's going to continue his career, then I think that and I'm almost certain that the future will be to go back to the past, which is resume doing what he was doing prior to, which is knocking over tomato cans. And I fully expect.
So he's fighting Wilder. Going to fight Wilder then. Wilder. Deontay Wilder.
Okay. I tell you what, Rafi. If Anthony Joshua fights Deontay Wilder in his next fight, I owe you $20 UK.
No, Wilder won't accept it. Wilder won't accept it. Wilder's always declined. I don't see no change. I don't see nothing changing. Wilder's always declined.
No, this is a one-sided bet. If the fight doesn't happen, you don't owe me anything. But if Anthony Joshua,
you're making a donation to the channel then.
If Anthony Joshua fights Deontay Wilder in his very next fight, I owe you $20 or 20 pounds UK.
Oh well, I'll take the 20 pounds. I'll take the pounds. Okay.
Because that fight will never happen. Eddie Hearn will see to it. I can guarantee. If Anthony Joshua resumes his career, it will be against a tomato can in his next fight.
So
I promise you.
So they're gonna go 2 times in a row. 2 times in a row. Wilder got knocked out 2 times in a row. You know that, yeah?
The tried and true technique of the AJ Chilean contingent is to detract and divert from the glaring Anthony Joshua deficiencies by bringing up Deontay Wilder, who does not even figure into the conversation at all. Okay?
The question was who
like I said, they're going to go back to the tried and true formula. Eddie Hearn is going to put Anthony Joshua back on his original track, how he built him up in the first place, which is to knock over tomato cans. And that's exactly what they're going to do in his next fight. I guarantee it.
I don't begrudge somebody having a tick over fight after coming off a back-to-back losses.
Neither do I. Well, look at Hellenius. I mean, can you get a bigger tick? I mean, Wilder's fighting his sparring partner.
I don't begrudge him that either for back-to-back hellacious beatings.
Hellacious from hellacious to Hellenius. But let me give a shout out to Amaru Woods. What's up, Rafi? AJ, still my guy, and have a good day. Hey, shout out to Amaru Woods, always supporting, always popping in, and putting a bit of color in the chat, which is like a little bit of color in the cheeks on a winter's day. So it's always a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Thanks for the donation and the comment, Amaru Woods.
I've got a suggestion for a Joshua opponent. I think it'll be a really fun fight. Somebody on his undercard, somebody also coming off a loss. Zhili Zhang in China.
Oh yeah, I'm down with that.
He likes the big money fights. If Zhili Zhang brings the same energy he brought for the Hrgovic fight, it will be a really fun fight to watch.
I'm down with that. But let's talk about I don't know. Have we finished with Joshua yet, or is there some other elements? Well, let's talk about who you want. Yeah, Zhili Zhang. Let's finish up this convo. Zhili Zhang. So I've got. So hold on. Who we got? Let me write it down. We got Wallin, which is my suggestion. 1, Wallin. 2. Who did fight, Doctor? Who did you suggest?
Tomato can. Just put tomato can.
Wilder. So you want Wilder. 3, Zhilei Zhang.
I can promise you it won't be Wallin.
Zhang.
That fight not next, if ever.
Oh, you think that's too much for Joshua? You think that's too much for Joshua? Wally.
There's no question. There's no question.
Good Lord.
I don't think they're gonna send Joshua in the direction of any southpaws anytime soon. Again.
I've asked a very good question, and I must address it before the end of the show. Raphael Dawkins, what is the Cossack wearing turncoat Brits about? Is that Fury fanboys? Well, that's a very good question. I'm glad you raised it, and I must make a mental note to raise that, to talk about that before the end of the show. Wilder 439 tomato cans in a row. Fight doctor. He has more cans on his record than he's got more cans on his restaurant than Heinz. Than a Heinz tomato can factory. How about them apples? Or how about them tomatoes? So what we saying here? So we got Wallin. Me, I like Wilder. We've got Zhilei Zhang. I like Wallin. I like any three of them. Wallin, Wilder, Zhilei Zhang. Zhilei Zhang's a good shout. Zhilei Zhang in China is a good shout. So that's what's possibly next for. Hold on, isn't Zhilei Zhang a southpaw, or was that Hrgovic? One of them was a southpaw. I think it might have been.
Well, if he's a southpaw, cross him off the list, because I promise you, Eddie Hearn will not be sending Anthony Joshua in the direction of any southpaws anytime soon.
So
guarantee it.
So because Eddie Hearn's making him fight Dillian White all day long.
So because he lost to the best southpaw in the division, you say that Eddie Hearn's going to keep him away from other southpaws. Really? Are you being serious?
Yeah, I'm dead serious. Yeah, because he Anthony Joshua has a problem with the southpaw style. Okay, wow. That's part of the issue. Okay, again, when you don't have the fundamentals and you are faced with something that you're not used to seeing, well, what do you fall back on? Because you don't have the fundamentals to fall back on. So what do you do?
Wow, that's crazy to me. Wilder is the undisputed can man. It's like compare apples with apples. Compare apples with apples. Wilder versus Joshua next. Wilder end for good. Wilder will end him for good, apparently. Zhilei Zhang is a southpaw. Yep, so I'm cool with either southpaw.
So you cross him off the list.
Either Wallin or Zhilei Zhang. Deontay catches that glass jaw off AJ. It's all game over. Okay, according to TKO. Zhang is so limited, kind of like Lanius. Sounds perfect for a comeback fight. Because Joshua had real problems with Martin. Get the F out of here, says the counter. OMG. Of course, Martin being a southpaw who Anthony Joshua dispatched in short order. Martin said it's because his leather pants were too tight. So you be the judge on that one. So what are we saying? Okay, Wallin, Wilder, or Zhilei Zhang. We've got two southpaws in there. I'm cool with either of them. What else? What are other aspects? What other aspects are there? Is there any other aspects before we move on with the Joshua thing?
Are we discussing his post-fight outburst?
Oh, post-fight outburst. Okay. His post-fight outburst. What I will say about that is that sports is an emotional game. It's an emotional thing. You can have the most seasoned professional who, in the heat of the moment, can have an emotional outburst. When I used to watch football, I don't watch it anymore, but I do remember Zinedine Zidane, one of the most respected footballers in his day. at the very end of his career, right close to the end of his career, his playing career. He did a running goat headbutt to the abdomen of one of his opponents. A running goat headbutt to the belly region of one of his opponents. It's sports. It can get emotional, and I do not hold it against him. And that's my position. Leon figures.
Yeah, so I'd say same thing I said with when Wilder lost. Joshua clearly took it very, very badly. In the heat of the moment, he did so many wrong things, but he quickly came out saying that he held his hands up, saying he acted in the wrong way. And it's become, I'm surprised we've been this far into the show without mentioning it, because it has become a major talking point, which has overshadowed his actual performance and Usyk's performance of cementing himself as a unified champion, beating the former champion twice in a row. But I do think it will soon be forgotten, because I do have to have the same energy, though. I mean, it to me, it never looks good when professional boxers are crying in a press conference. And
that's how we started the show. That's how we started the show, with the crying in the press conference. That's where Eddie Hearn's comments come from, when Joshua cried in the press conference. But carry on.
Yeah, that never looks good. I can see that emotions are running high.
Yeah,
but there's a time where you need to control your emotions, and it's extremely difficult.
I'll put this to you then. So he cried in the press conference. Paul Gascoigne cried on the field when England were in a world championship or something of that nature, and he became a national hero. So Anthony Joshua cries in the press conference. Should we expect him to become a national hero?
The difference is there's been times when Gascoigne has had outbursts. There was a famous one where he said some very derogatory remarks to a heckler in a crowd, and he was at a speaking engagement. If Gascoigne had done that in a match and then gone to the press conference and cried, people would look at it different. He wouldn't have been a national hero. He was a national hero because he cried because he had been banned from playing in the World Cup final with a tackle that he made if England had got through, which they never. But that was why he was crying. So there is a bit of a difference. I mean, if Joshua had just lost, not taken the mic and said that speech, then gone to the press conference and let some tears out, he might well have been seen as a national hero. It's just because of the outburst before that. It looked like watching a live mini breakdown, and it was very, very strange.
Well, let's call it that. Let's say that it was a live mini breakdown. Let's say it was.
I mean, I don't know, because sometimes you're just so angry and frustrated, you kind of like flip out a bit. You just have like a mini flip out. I wouldn't always call that a breakdown, because and because he did seem to collect himself afterwards. So I don't know. To me, I'm undecided as to whether it actually was just a highly emotive moment. He tried to leave, and it's like when I said to you on your last show, when you put the picture up of that woman and then gave us a quiz. I was like, look, the blood has gone to the wrong head. I can't think at the moment to solve a quiz. I think he was in such an emotional place. He wasn't thinking logically and the best thing to do, and he was just rambling. And it's just an emotional overload. And what he said, really, I'm sure he will learn from this and learn there's a time when saying nothing is the best thing. And that was clearly a time. I think he would have been better off just walking off, forgetting his media commitments, and dealing with the financial penalties because of that, rather than go in there and saying something that you regret. I've learned that there's sometimes if you're in anger, it's best not to say anything rather than saying something that you might not mean or have to or come to regret. But it's one of those. Can you blame someone? It clearly showed it actually meant something to him. You know, if there was ever a question as to whether all the money he had made him not care, well, he clearly does care. He clearly wanted his belts back, and they're gone now. And that realization hit him. The first one, when he lost it the first time, he had his rematch, so it wasn't quite gone, but he felt them gone, and he knows it's going to be years before he gets a chance to get them back. And it's a cold, hard rally he came in, but it's completely, it's a difficult one. But I think after the next big fight, this will be a distant memory.
Well, you also, the fight doctor. I'm sure you're going to have some things to say about AJ's outburst. AJ throwing the belts out of the ring, grabbing the mic, walking out of the ring, coming back to the ring, and then crying at the press conference, post-fight press conference. Let's have it. Do your worst, fight doctor.
So I just have a question. This emotion, and where was this emotion during the fight?
Well, it's not supposed to be emotional to the fight. It's supposed to be technical, cold and technical, steely. Cold, technical, steely. Killer. You don't want to be waving your Walter PPK all around. You just want to take aim and bust. Well,
maybe perhaps that he showed some of this emotion and carried some of that emotional energy into the contest itself instead of saving it for after the contest was over. Perhaps we would be having a different conversation.
Well, perhaps you're not being genuine here because you said yourself that he looked determined. You said to yourself that he looked steely determined walking into the ring.
Determination and emotion are two different things.
Well, he was determined. You don't need emotion. He was determined to win. You said you saw determination in his face and his demeanor. What more do you want?
Well, okay, so determination wasn't enough, now was it? Because had determination been enough, we would be having a different conversation.
Well, okay. There's also skill levels. There's also a guy who's might be a tad more skilled than he involved. There's also a guy who might be a tad more elusive than he. There's also a guy that he was facing who might be a tad more experienced than he. And I suggest to you that those are factors which are notable and played a role in the outcome of the fight.
Yeah, so the emotional outburst, he should have used that energy in the fight. That's my whole point. Okay. I mean, look, the fight is over, so why cry now? What you should have done is focus that energy during the fight. Okay, and perhaps the outcome would have been different.
What about crying at the press conference?
Yeah, well, you know why he was crying? He was crying because all of that emotional energy that he had wound up in him, he didn't use during the fight. That's why he was crying.
You're not supposed to be emotional in the fight. You're supposed to be calm and calculated. You're saying you're supposed to be emotional in the fight, and I'm saying you're not supposed to be emotional in the fight.
Okay, well then here's my question.
Calm and calculated.
Here's my question. When calm and calculating is losing you the fight, what do you do next?
Well, I mean, you get more technical. You dig deep and get more technical. And get more technical.
If you don't have more technical to get, what do you do next?
When you don't,
because we've already talked about the technical aspects and Joshua's technical flaws. So there's no getting more technical. But obviously he had something else to work with, but he saved that until the fight was over.
I don't think crying during the fight would have helped AJ during the fight.
I'm not talking about crying. There are other emotions like anger.
Yeah.
That he could have used.
Anger can get you knocked out in a fight.
Well, listen, if you're gonna lose, it's best to go out on your shield. Ask Deontay Wilder. He gets a ton of respect for getting knocked out.
Surely you jest.
I'm dead serious. I'm
just showed that
serious.
there was there was a massive gulf in talent when it comes to Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. The man just kept on. Your boy there from Alabama just kept on getting his ass knocked out. All that showed was a ton of skill discrepancy between one and the other.
Listen, you can question Deontay Wilder's skill. You can question his decision making, and I'm there with you. But what you cannot question is his heart, determination, and his emotional commitment.
Joshua,
on the other hand, I don't know.
Yo, them weak legs, brother. Them weak legs. Them bones, them dry bones, them dry bones. Anyway, don't let me continue along that track. Okay. What I say about the crying is it was.
It shows he's human.
I felt that it was unfortunate. I felt that it was unfortunate that he cried at that time. I thought that, sometimes you just need. I thought about it today. Things have changed. Things change, but when I was a youth, when I was a boy, boys to men, boy becoming a man, boy, we had birthday parties. You would have one room for the elders. That's parents, aunts, uncles, friends of parents. That's the big people room. And then you'd have the next room, and that was for us kids. And, I always feel that it was a perfect synergy, because you could go and chill out with some of the big people and have some calm, intelligent talk. Or you could go in the other room and run around and play around with your peers. But I always feel that Anthony Joshua could use a big people's room in his situation. Just a room where with older, wiser people than he. I always feel that about Anthony Joshua. He could use some older, wiser people than he. Not the dispassionate. What's his name? The dispassionate McCracken. Just a bunch of older people. Hanging around in the camp. Not a dispassionate McCracken, pragmatic. Just people. Rafi grew up. When Rafi was growing up, there were always older, wiser storytellers around. I grew up with older, wiser people always around. Storytellers. And as a youth, I would sit down and listen to the stories of the older and the wiser. And I think that tradition may, I don't know, I can't speak for everybody, may have got away from us a little bit, but it's a tradition which the Rafi values and holds dear to his heart. The room with the older and the wiser. I think that Anthony Joshua would benefit from that. The older, the wiser, would have had less tension. Listen, what happened has happened. I don't think it was ideal, but it's happened now, and it's in the record books. And
Well, his dad did try to tell him, but he told his dad to sit down or something like that.
yeah, he shrugged off his dad. You know, but is that because he wasn't raised with the older and wiser being in the big people room? I wonder. It's too late now. The cards have been dealt. What's happened is in the record books. And you can't be ashamed. You can't be ashamed of giving your best and then feeling emotional afterwards. You can't be ashamed. There is no shame. Let's have a look. Rafi is wrong. This is the new woke world. We need emotion, tears, and the book dictator. I'm not even saying he was wrong for feeling emotional. What I'm saying is that if he had the big people room in his camp, it could be a metaphorical room. I just meet older and wiser people who are around when you're in camp. They sit down and they talk while you're doing your thing. They sit down and they talk, and then you catch little bits of their conversation consciously, subconsciously, consciously, subconsciously. The big people room. Have some old timers in there. Not even necessarily training. Just come on down. It's got to be a way of life. That big people room that the Rafi grew up with. What happened has happened. It's in the record books. I don't think he should be ashamed. He let out some emotion that clearly was bottled up and needed to be let out. Or he's done that now. Probably feels better for it. Onwards and upwards. Did his best. His best wasn't good enough, but he's acquired skills along the way. Onwards and upwards. No shame. Should just simply hold his head up. Somebody says, yo, you cried at the press conference. I said, I did, didn't I? Have a nice day. Can't be any shame. Cannot be any shame. Talking about crying in the press conference. What about, where is it? Close that. Oh, damn it. That's not what I want. Go back. Where are we? Can we go back? Oh, there we are. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, talking about crying. This next cat here, he did a hell of a lot of crying. Where are we? Come out of that. Let's go into this. I don't know if any of you catch the UFC. I don't know if the fight doctor participates in that kind of thing.
I watch the UFC every now and then.
Yeah.
You know, when the major fights are happening.
Major fight. Well, this is Usman, the Nigerian, versus Leonedwards. Comes from down the road from me, the Rafi, in Birmingham, England, Middle Earth. Jamaican born, Birmingham raised. Welterweights, Usman, six defenses in a row. Very accomplished, breaking records all over the place. But on Saturday, he came up against the Leon Edwards. I just realized we got two Leons, the Leon figures. We got the Leon figures up in here. So the Leon Edwards. And this is what happened. Oh my gosh. I really don't want the UFC to go ham with the Rafi. OMG left high kick in the 5th round with less than 1 minute remaining of the last round. Leon Edwards had won the first round. The second round was a seesaw battle. Third and the fourth went to kamaruusman. But with less than 1 minute remaining, Leon Edwards, Jamaican-born, Birmingham raised, Middle Earth, did this. There's the high kick. OMG. OMG. Left high kick. And kamaruusman was left eyes wide shut. The fight doctor. How you like that? How you like that? Less than 1 minute remaining.
Yeah, so it reminds me of Ruiz and Anthony Joshua.
There's got no similarity between Ruiz and Anthony Joshua. This was the last minute of the last round, and the long-established champ got taken out. Leon figures.
Yeah, I've only ever seen the highlights. I rarely watch UFC.
Yeah.
Although my daughter, she's a fan of UFC, so I might start watching it with her.
I don't watch it anymore. This is me.
Yeah, there does seem to be a big story with Leon Edwards. Is he somebody that Usman had defeated before?
Yes, that's for 7 years prior. 7 years ago prior, 2015.
And I did see a bit of a press conference where Usman was giving a lot of talk.
Yeah, well, Usman's trying to raise up his profile. I think he's in the next Black Panther movie, so he's trying to raise his profile and what have you. He's been a long-standing champion. He's beat a lot of the top guys, or all of the top guys, pretty much in his weight division.
I think this might be a bit more why UFC is a bit more popular, because you get more of these, don't you? It's you get more of the
top fighters actually
established knockouts.
Yeah, well, the top fighters fight the top fighters. There's no cross promotional issues. The UFC, pretty much they got all the top guys, and the top guys have to fight each other. Dana White makes sure they do. People say they fight each other they're underpaid, which I believe is generally the case. They are underpaid, but they almost have no choice. They have to fight the top guys, and if they stick around long enough, then they will get some millions.
The second they start to get real money, we'll have the same issues we have with boxing.
Sorry?
The second they start to get some real money, we'll have the same issues we have with boxing, where the best fights are more and more difficult to make.
Yeah, exactly. But with Dana White, he rules the thing with an iron rod, but we do get the top fights. We do get the top fights. So that's a good thing. So Leon Edwards, shout out to Leon Edwards from Middle Earth. Congratulations to him. He did a lot of crying. He was crying all over the ring after he secured the victory. He's not crying yet. He's celebrating at that point. Yeah, okay. Don't want the UFC to come down hard on the Rafi. Let's get that on up out of there. But Leon Edwards, he was crying all over the ring. What's this here? Usman KO was good for the sport. Edwards had improved his wrestling greatly to defend Usman. To defend Usman was relatively boring. Some people say it's boring, but he got the job done. What's this? During the Usyk versus AJ undercard, I learned to do the Rubik Cube. Bizarre how easy it actually is looking back. Really? You can do it? You can do that, Shizzle? That's interesting. That's interesting. I never really cracked it, but then how hard did I ever really try? Okay, so what else was there? There was Hrgovic versus Zhilei Zhang. Did you see that fight? The fight, Doctor?
I did not. I missed that fight. I was only able to watch the Usyk Joshua fight. I had an event going on this weekend, and that pretty much tied up my Saturday. And I was recovering Sunday, and I really only had energy enough to watch Usyk and Joshua, so I missed all of that.
Missed all of that. Leon Figures. Did you see the Zhilei Zhang fight eventually? Because I know you were at work. Did you see that? Did you get to see that or no?
Same for me, I'm afraid. I haven't had the time, but I heard it was a very exciting bout.
Yeah.
So it's one I need to. That's why I suggested the Joshua fight Zhang, but it wasn't off of the. I hadn't seen it, just from what I heard.
Yeah. It was interesting. Well, it was a tale of. How would we say that? How do we say that? Well, it was volume versus heavy punching. Zhilei Zhang surprisingly was the heavier puncher of the two. I think he dropped Hrgovic in the first or second round, which shocked everybody. So shocked everybody that Zhilei Zhang turned out to be the heavier puncher of the two. Nobody was predicting that. I didn't see anybody predicting that. But yeah, shock being Zhilei Zhang was the heavier puncher of the two. And for large swathes of the fight, it looked like, particularly in the middle rounds, it looked like Zhilei Zhang was going to stop the fight. Well, let's say from round 2 till 6, looked like Zhilei Zhang was going to stop the fight. And then there were other moments where Zhilei Zhang looked like he was going to stop the fight later in the fight. Looked like that's what was going to happen. But eventually it got to round 12. It went to the scorecards, and many people thought that Zhilei Zhang would win because of the landing the heavier blows. But I looked at my scorecard and it was very even. And I thought, no, Hrgovic may win due to volume. He was the one with the more volume. And so I was less surprised than others when it turns out that when it was announced that Hrgovic had won. A lot of people were shocked. A lot of people were disturbed. But it was volume versus heavier punching. And oftentimes, volume's going to win. Volume wins. So that didn't surprise me in the slightest that Hrgovic won via volume. Personally, I thought it was one of those fights where I would have gone with the heavier puncher, Hrgovic. He was the one who brought the fight, who looked like he was closer to ending the fight more often. I would have gone for Zhilei Zhang, but I understand that Hrgovic won via points fighting, basically. He landed more points. And what do points make? Prizes. I would have gone for Zhilei Zhang. The judges went for the point fighter in Hrgovic. Very shocking. Very shocking. Yeah. Hrgovic, he ain't ready, and he may not be ready. That's what we found out from this weekend. That's what we found out from this weekend. He got out muscled. He got out muscled by Zhilei Zhang. Who expected that?
You did say to remind you to explain your title, your original title, about the Cossack.
Yes. That's a damn good call, damn good point. Okay, so what's the title? Let's get the title up so I can see what we're working with. Anthony Joshua and the Cossack wearing turncoat Brits. Okay, let's pull that up. Let's put that as a banner. Let's get that up there. Let's paste that in. The turncoat Brits, and let's save that. Let's highlight that. Okay, so Anthony Joshua and the Cossack wearing turncoat Brits. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? Well, what I'm talking about is it seems very interesting to me how Ergovic looked to be out of ideas indeed. Zhang and Hrgovic looked borderline top 20. Any of the big guns would take them out. Hrgovic and Yoka are totally off the prospect list. Yeah, I think Hrgovic and Yoka are off the top prospects list for sure. Okay, so what I'm talking about is when I say Anthony Joshua and the Cossack wearing turncoat Brits is we see anything Anthony Joshua does seems to get vilified. Where's Twitter? Where's Twitter? Why is there so many damn windows open? Let's close up some of these windows. Let's go to Twitter. Let's close that down. Let's go to Twitter. I think I got some examples. I may have some examples over in Twitter. Likes. What we're saying here. Yeah, let's share this. Let's share this. Twitter. What we got? Uh-oh. Let's have a look. Let's blow this up. I don't want to hear. Huh? Need to blow it up some more. Dang. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear about AJ fighting White in November or December. Put AJ in there with someone in the top 10. The ring rankings, governing body. What did I say to that? I wouldn't mind seeing him in there with another southpaw. I thought Wallin would be a good candidate. Dubois has a belt. Listen, it's the only way White could be a world champion. A lot of people beat White. Joshua needs a nice, static European fighter. He's levels above just to get back the confidence, knock him out clean. Wallin, Zhang, or Bakoli ain't a bad shout. Wallin or Zhang. Yeah, Wallin or Zhang. Leave Bakoli to keep on brewing. Wallin or Zhang. Okay, let me come out to that. I'm looking for some examples of what I was just talking about. So it seems every little thing, every little thing likes that Joshua does. I'm not sure, Oleksandrusyk, I'm not sure if I'm right or not, but I saw in round 8, I saw Anthony Joshua's eyes. I saw in Anthony Joshua's eyes that he was feeling victorious already. I kept telling myself, you cannot stop. You cannot stop. You cannot stop. Big things were at stake. You cannot stop. So Alexander Usyk had to G his own self up. People think he was a walk in the park, but no, this is what I was looking for early on. Alexander Usyk had to G his own self up. Maybe Usyk was feeling like he was losing. Yeah. Thought Joshua in the 9th was going to take him out.
So, Rafi, can I chime in real quick?
Yeah.
So I just looked at ESPN's top 10, and I'm thinking it's not going to be a top 10 guy, whoever he fights next.
Who's in the top 10? Who's in the ESPN top 10?
ESPN has Fury 1, Usyk 2, Wilder 3, Joshua 4, Ruiz 5, White 6, Parker 7, Luis Ortiz 8, Joe Joyce 9, Otto Wallin 10.
Otto
It could
Wallin
easily be White fight, Doctor. Eddie Hearn could easily put him in with White.
could be White. What
Yeah,
number,
so-
what numbers White? What numbers
So
White?
White is 6. So
6.
it'll be either Dillian White or somebody who's not in the top 10.
No, it's really White. You got Ortiz who's 9 or something. You got
Ortiz is not politically connected. He has the wrong politics. So that's not going to work.
Ortiz have offered him. He keeps on saying no, and you've got Wallin. I told you, if it ain't White, it's gonna be Wallin. So that's
It's
two
not
guys.
going to be. It's not going to be Wallin.
There's
Wallin
two.
is a southpaw.
There's
Not going to happen.
and he should fight him. There's 2 guys right there. There's 2 guys right there on my list. I hope it's not White because White needs to come back and reestablish himself. So I have no interest in seeing that fight again right now. I hope it's Wallin or Zhilei Zhang or Ortiz is fighting what's his name, Andreas the Ponce. So it ain't gonna be him. It ain't gonna be him, but it's gonna be Wallin. I hope it's not White because that's a sour fight to me. Sour. It's not anything that's gonna. After White's poor performance against,
I'm telling you, Eddie Hearn is not going to send Anthony Joshua within the same zip code, the same time zone
yeah,
as a capable southpaw.
that's crazy. That's nonsense.
Not gonna happen.
That's nonsense. Utter nonsense. That
Nope.
fight.
Not
that
in
fight.
his next. Not for his next fight. Nope. Not gonna happen.
Utter nonsense. That
They're
fight.
gonna put him in front of a conventional tomato can.
I have no interest in seeing him against White. Who's this cat here? Oh, that's Jim Carrey. When the music hits you. Oh, good Lord. Woo! Woo! Come on now. Come on now. Come on now, Dante. Come on now, Dante. Show him how to do it, Dante.
And yet Anthony Joshua won't step in the ring with him. I wonder
really?
why.
Oh, really? It's because
Yeah.
it's because
It's because of that right hand. That's the reason why.
It's because
It's because of the right hand.
because
That's what it is.
Joshua won't
Don't get it twisted. It's
Joshua
because of the
won't
right
tell him-
hand.
Joshua won't tell him how much he's making.
Yeah, no, it's because of the right hand. That's why he won't go anywhere. He
Yeah.
will not go in the same
Look at that
zip
right
code time zone.
Look at that right hand. Look at that. Oh, the left. Ooh, woo, woo. Come on, Dante. Come on. Come on, Dante. Move them hips, baby. Move them hips, baby. Okay, that's enough of that. That's enough of that. Okay. Okay. Oh, dang. Come on, son. Damn, son. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Woo!
Double take 3 times.
Okay, it's like a blur. Moving so fast, it's like a blur. Okay. Okay, let me forget about this. Let me forget about this. Okay. And that's not Fury, that's Spilka. Okay. So let's get full screen on this. And let me express my opinion on Anthony Joshua and the Cossack wearing turncoats. Okay. Okay. So it seems to me sometimes that everything when Joshua does something that might be, there's always question marks. Why do this? Why do that? Why he cried at the press conference? Why did he step out of the ring? Why did he come back in the ring? And he's vilified. He's vilified. People attempt to vilify him for every damn thing he does. My position is, and then you have this fight with the Ukrainian guy. You have a fight with the Ukrainian guy. What's the Ukraine got to do with the UK? Nothing. Nothing. It's got nothing to do with it. And but yet You got legions of Brits who became fans of the Ukraine, apparently overnight. Fans of the Ukrainian guy over the Brit. Fans of the Ukrainian over the Brit. Now, if it were, now I don't see that. I don't understand that. How the hell are you going to be supporting a foreigner? How are you going to be supporting a foreigner over a Brit? And you're supposed to be a Brit. How does that work? Yeah, every now and then. I mean, every now and then you support the foreigner. You support the foreigner over the Brit. Every now and then. Yeah, I've done it myself. But generally speaking, you know, top ranking folk guys are top ranking. You're going to support the man from your homeland. You're going to support the man from the homeland. You know, but I see a lot of Brits, a lot of British supporting the guy from the Ukraine, and they say, oh, he's so funny. Oh, he's so this. Half his posts aren't even in English. How the hell would you know if he's funny or not? It's written in a foreign tongue. Where are you getting this? He's funny, he's this, he's that. I've never seen none of that. I've seen some weirdness, which I don't even think is weird. I'm very, very feel. What is that? Is that anything but throwaway nonsense? That don't move me no kind of way. I don't find it humorous. I just find it odd. What does it mean? I don't care what it means. It means nothing. Well, it's supposed to be some kind of funny guy. I don't find him funny. It's supposed to be some kind of weird guy. Maybe. But I just find him uninteresting outside of the ring. Very, very uninteresting. No emotion, no funny, no this, no that. Just bland. He's a boring guy. Bland, boring guy outside of the ring, but always supposed to be so witty. Always supposed to be this, always supposed to be that. Just bland outside of the ring. Inside the ring, very skilled, talented points fighter. But it got me questioning how the hell people normally go for the knockout guy. Anthony Joshua is the knockout guy. So on paper, he's the Brit. He's the knockout guy. A Brit knockout guy over a boring, out of the ring technician inside of the ring. Points fighter. Don't add up to me. Simply don't add up. But yet, there it is. A lot of things don't add up. When we, hold on, what's this here? Oh yeah, okay. Boring points fighter. Well, not boring. Boring outside of the ring. Points fighter. Very clever points fighter inside of the ring. And then when war is declared or whatever, they got a war going on. Apparently, all traditional immigration techniques or protocols are abandoned. And all of a sudden, something I've never seen before, I've never heard of before, all of a sudden, it's like, yo, okay, we're going to get these people, we're going to ship them right into people's homes. If you take one in, you get some money. They're giving people money to take a Ukrainian into their homes, bypassing all standard immigration procedures. And yet, I thought England wanted out of Europe. Makes no sense. So the government are embracing the Ukraine while they said these trains, they sent trains to get Ukrainian lady people out of the Ukraine. Said ladies first. They had African students over there, female. They said, no, not you. You stay behind. So obviously, it's a society of iniquity, which I personally cannot support. And yet still, there's some kind of love. There's some kind of love for the Ukraine when they didn't have the respect for the African ladies. So there's no love from me. I guarantee you that. Tell you that. Because the country is clearly iniquitous. Iniquity. I ain't supporting that. So What is it? What is it with the Cossack wearing turncoat Brits? What is it? What is the fascination with the Ukraine? I don't get it. I don't get it. You know what I mean? I don't get it. Yeah. So what's going on? What's really going on? What's really going on? Stop that anyway, and bring this up. I don't get it. So that's why. And furthermore, you know, I got a funny feeling. I got a funny feeling that if war was declared, between Britain and the Ukraine, these people, these anthonyjoshua Cossack wearing these Cossack wearing Brits, you can take out turncoat because we're not sure. But if war were declared between the Britain and the Ukraine, you'd have to ship these people out. They got split loyalties. It seems like they favor the Ukraine over the UK. Seems like these Brits, there's a breed of Brits who have more love for the Ukraine than they do for the UK. So,
say, Rafi, can I chime in on the subject for a second?
Yeah, 1 second though. So if that is the case, then these Cossack wearing Brits, they would have to be deported. You'd have to deport them out of the UK because surely they would be enemies of the state. They would be enemies of the state. You couldn't trust them in the British Army because they seem to got more love for the Ukraine than they do for the UK. You'd have to brand them as turncoats. You'd have to brand them as traitors. You'd have to brand them as enemies of the state. They're untrustworthy. I mean, seriously, could you trust them in the British Army? Could you trust them in the British Army? I don't think you can. They'd have to ship them out. You'd have to ship them out like Gary Barlow, ship them out with the cargo. Yeah, the fight doctor. Come on in. That's what I'm talking about when I say the Cossack wearing turncoats. If there was war declared between the UK and the Ukraine, you'd have to ship them out because they got more love for the Ukraine than they do for the UK, or so it would appear. I'm gonna have to see what if they change their tune when it comes time for Usyk to fight Tyson Fury. I want to see if their allegiance still lies with the Ukraine or if they switch back their allegiance to the UK when it comes time for Tyson Fury to fight Oleksandrusyk. I want to see if their allegiance switches up. The fight doctor.
So I wonder if these Ukrainian supporters, if they understand that the government of Ukraine is run by a gang of Nazis.
Wow.
And I mean that literally, not figurative sense, literal Nazis.
Wow. Maybe they'd like it. Maybe. Maybe they'd like it. I don't see any problem there if they're supporting the Ukraine. I don't know. Why is that a paradox? Maybe they know.
Maybe. I don't know. But
what do you mean the Nazis anyway? What do you mean the Nazis?
No, I mean like card-carrying Nazis.
Is it?
Yes.
Leaders of Ukraine Nazis?
Yes. And I'm not talking in any figurative sense, literally. These guys, they have the Nazi regalia, the symbolism, the whole 9 yards.
Ukraine Nazis. Leaders of Ukraine Nazi. Leaders of Ukraine, Nazi. Why does Russia's leader keep saying does Ukraine really have a Nazi problem? The far right is a problem in the Ukraine, but the country is far from a Nazi state. Let's have a look. Let's hold on a second. Let's bring this up. Let's have a little looky. Let's stop sharing that. Let's start sharing this. Does Ukraine really have a Nazi problem? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let's have a look what this says. Let's blow that up just a tad. What is the unpacked Jewish? What is this? Jewish Unpacked. I don't know about this website. Can Ukraine? I don't know the legitimacy. I can't say anything about the legitimacy or illegitimacy of it. I don't know it. The far right is a problem in the Ukraine, but the country is far from a Nazi state. Okay, let's have a little read of this. It's only one. It's the first one that I came to, so we can't say it's legit or illegitimate. But let's have a little look. Moscow's invasion of the Ukraine is now months long. Russian President Vladimir Putin and his government continue to invoke a fight against Nazis as justification for the war. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced that Russia is undertaking a special military operation in Ukraine, saying the goal is to demilitarize and denazify the country, but not occupy it. An interview, Ukraine President, Russian Foreign Minister said Zelensky is a Jew. Hitler also had Jewish origins. Precisely the Jews. Sergei, a Russian Foreign Minister, went on to say the fact that Ukraine President Zelensky is a Jew does not negate the Nazi elements in his country. I believe that Adolf Hitler also had Jewish blood. Putin announced a special military operation, preemptively met with a sharp response from Ukraine's Jewish president. So hold on. Jewish president, Nazi. Hold on, that don't go together. If their president's Jewish, then Jews are anti-Nazi, Nazi, anti-Jews, surely. I appreciate Russia's declared goal of denazifying Ukraine with its check notes. Jewish president. Okay, this is confusing. This is complex. I really don't know.
So can I unpack this?
Okay, yeah.
So what this article is doing is dissembling. So it's trying to suggest that the Ukraine's the government of the Ukraine cannot be Nazi because they have a Jewish president. Now, there are two problems with this dissembling, okay? Because they're suggesting a lie is true when indeed it is a lie. Here's the reason why. First, you need to understand is history. And it is well documented that Adolf Hitler had Jewish collaborators. This is not up for discussion or debate. This is beyond dispute. We know this. All right? That's the first thing.
Yeah.
The second thing you need to understand is what a Nazi actually is. What is a Nazi? A Nazi is a nationalist socialist, right? That's what a Nazi is. There's nothing about the nationalist socialist agenda that is anti-Jewish. There are anti-Jewish nationalist socialists, but you can be a Jewish Nazi. Yes, you can, because there is nothing about being a nationalist socialist that is anti-Jewish. But this article is trying to suggest that Nazism is anti-Jewish when in fact there is nothing about being a nationalist socialist that's anti-Jewish. Nothing at all. It's just that the Nazis that we are accustomed to thinking about, the Nazis of Nazi Germany, were Nazis who happened to be anti-Jewish. Okay?
That's interesting.
But just because Ukraine has a Jewish president does not mean that Ukraine is the government of Ukraine isn't run by Nazis, because they do, and it is.
This is interesting. This is interesting. I have heard that the Jews were sponsors. I know the Jews were sponsors of some slave ships. I heard he said somewhere that Jews had money in every slave ship. I don't know if that's true. Some slave ships, I know that's true. Every slave ship, that's interesting. It's fascinating. It's fascinating stuff. They do have some problems over there. It's interesting. It's fascinating. But that makes me, with this sponsorship of the Cossack, wearing Brits, that does concern me. And this is only just giving me more food for thought, more reason for concern. Now, some Brits are just happy to run up with this Ukraine thing. Now the British government were just so willing. Yeah, come on in. Put them in your homes. We give you some money to put them in your homes. It's just there's more questions than answers with this Ukraine thing, and how some Brits are so quick to just run with it when there's so many questions. Right about now, just that more questions. Gonna take a lot of reading, gonna take a lot of sifting. All right, with the Raphael Dawkins, it's like no other boxing show. There's no other boxing show out there like this. The topics that we cover, we wrap it up well. There's other shows, pale imitations, shall we say, but they can't wrap it up. They can't wrap it up like this. We do more than boxing. We go in deep into boxing, but then we go deep into other things. But you know what? People got work in the morning. That's why I started earlier, because I knew this one might run a little bit longer. And with that, I think that, we're going to knock it on the head right about now with food for thought, food for research. There's people going to be looking into this shizniks, and certainly I am one of them. But we're going to have to knock this on the head now. Leon Figures, great to have you on here. The final words, please, sir.
Thank you for welcoming me as a guest. I've really enjoyed it. It's been fun talking with the Fight Doctor, yourself, and the chat as well.
100%. Your final words, though. Your final words. You got anything on your mind? Any final topic on your mind? You want to wrap up? You want to tap up? You want to wrap up? Okay.
Not this time.
Not at this time. So that was the Leon Figures. Much appreciation goes out to the Leon Figures. The Fight Doctor, your final words. Thanks for jumping on. Your final words and observation, please.
Thank you again for having me, sir. Always a pleasure. Shout out to Mr. Figures. It was an honor and a privilege to share the panel with you, sir. Shout out to the chat. And so my final thoughts are to the AJ Chilean contingent, please get your pasta sauce and pizza recipes ready, because Joshua will be opening up a tomato can in the very near future near you soon. So get those pizza and pasta sauce recipes ready. Tomato cans are coming. Fresh tomato cans.
Damn. So looks like The fight doctor suggesting that Anthony Joshua is going to be opening up shop in Alabama. Okay. And so, yeah, that was a great one. Great show. Peace, everyone. Great show. Stay safe, stay blessed. Great show. Good moderation on the boring arguments. Fight doctor is after talk. The Dante Wilder in. After talk Dante Wilder in. OMG. OMG. Where is it? Let's start sharing again. OMG. Okay. So
He needs some milk.
he needs some milk. So been a hell of a show. Glad to have the fellas on. Jump on with me so we could chop up and disseminate, percolate these topics. Anthony Joshua, whatever he does, people seem to criticize. The Cossack wearing Brits are the concern to me. They do concern me. We got plenty of reading to do, more research to do. Yeah, always more research to do. But anyway, not going to malinger. It's late. People got work in the morning. That's why I started it earlier, because I knew we'd go a little bit later. But I think everybody's enjoyed themselves. Got some knowledge, got some entertainment. And without much further ado, I got to say, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the share button. Stay updated with news. Hit the bell icon, stay updated with news and notifications. Don't forget about the live show. Don't forget about the videos. I know you see me in the videos. True. I know you heard me on the Combat Radio. True. Like, subscribe, comment, share, and we're out. Blessed.